So do we have a silent majority that are just going to pull that lever when it come November, and they are the silent majority, and barring shenanigans with ballot harvesting and other games that might be played, could we see the silent majority in the Electoral College put Trump back in office?
I think it's a distinct possibility because when you were just referencing earlier, too, about going back in the past to punish people, that's an indication that the people making the accusation don't have a solid foundation because they're not engaging you in the arena of ideas.
Yeah.
And they can't beat you with facts in their opinion, so they have to dredge something up. We saw Boeing just had one of their executives a week or two ago had to resign because of something he wrote over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of gamesmanship that they're resorting to because they can't operate one-on-one today. So this keeps going on. You're right. That silent majority is going to start reacting to it. And when the Goya CEO stands up and says, no, I'm not apologizing, that's exactly the kind of thing we need to see so that people start to recognize, yes, we can resist this and still survive.
Got it. All right, Brad, I want to thank you for taking time out and joining us this morning, and great points. And again, people can follow you on Twitter at Martini Shark. And where else can they read your work?
You can find me over at Town Hall and frequently at Red State and any other outlets. I do link everything over to my Twitter bio there, so you'll see my updates frequently as I put stuff up.
Got it. Excellent. All right, sir. Thank you very much. And make up for last night by going out tonight and having a good time.
Promise. All right, gentlemen, have a good morning.
Thank you. All right, folks, that's Brad Slager. And again, you can find him on Twitter at Martini Shark. He contributes to Town Hall and Red State. And he's been doing a pretty good series on the cancer culture and how that affects us and where it's headed. I don't know, Jerry. I just don't know how does this end? How do we get to a place where we put the brakes on this and people get to go back to having opinions without fear of retribution? And I can't say it any plainer than that. Is it free speech if the consequences of sharing and speaking your mind are too great? And how come you're not allowed to have anything different than the hive mentality out there?
Well, I don't think traditionally you have not been allowed to have anything but that in the United States. I think this is a recent phenomenon that's taken hold. As Brad had mentioned, it was an evolution to this point. It wasn't really a moment in time.
No,
it's been an evolution. It's been a slow deterioration to get to this point. But I do think now that we are at this point, I think that the recovery from the point would be quicker because, again, I come back to that basic precept that I may not like what you have to say, but I'll defend your right to say it. That is what we are all about. And if we want freedom of speech, the reason that the First Amendment is, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, is because of that very thing. It's very, very important that we all feel unencumbered to say what we truly believe. And if you don't like it, that's fine.
Exactly.
But you shouldn't be suppressed from saying it. So I do think that is such a thing that can be universally accepted. And that's what that Harper's letter shows, that we have both liberals and we have conservatives signing it. Now, the fallout from some people signing it is a secondary issue. But I think most people can get on board with that general concept.
See, I love to learn new things. I love it when I find something out new, and a lot of new things I've found out or new position of looking at it has come because I may have had an opinion on something, and then somebody got into a conversation with me, and after pointing some things out or giving me a piece of tidbit of knowledge I didn't understand or something in history, I could see it their way. And then maybe I changed how I thought of that, and then sometimes I was able to do it the other way. But the point is, none of that would have taken place if the moment you went to open your mouth, you were silenced by other means, by outside influences and people ganging up on you and the cancer culture kicking in. So I think that we lose something when we do not have dialogue and debate. And I said this before, I'm going to say it one more time. If you are comfortable in your position, if you are confident in how you think of something and believe it, you won't have any problem talking to somebody about it. And maybe you do get educated and change your mind, or maybe not. I don't know. But the point is, the conversation has got to take place, and we cannot put people in fear of being who they are and saying what they are. As far as those wicked, the things that are like, we all kind of agree. None of us want to really hear from a Nazi. I get that. Okay, but this isn't what we're talking about. We're just talking about different ways of achieving what hopefully is the same goal, and that's a free, healthy America.
Joe, reasonable people can have reasonable disagreements. And you are very open-minded to having people call this program with opposing viewpoints from yours. And it's the old adage, I mean, simply put, it's why they make chocolate and vanilla ice cream. It's why they do that.
Yeah. All right. Do we have to take a break, Shane? We're on a break. All right, my clock's off a little bit here. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break. It's time for Saturday Handling Change. So we'll hear from, actually, Greta Bahami from Golden Group Roofing. She's going to step into the studio with us for a moment. We'll be back on the other side. Jerry Doherty from Making Money Glass in studio. Teddy Goodpup as well. And Shane is behind the glass. Be back in a moment. Good morning and welcome to Handling Change. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, along with Greta Bahami of Golden Group Roofing, and she joins us this week. Maintaining your home and weighing price versus experience and professionalism, all while understanding how to enter into a contract. And what is really important when working with contractors can be challenging. Greta can help you handle those challenges. Good morning, Greta.
Good morning, Joe.
Thanks for joining us again for Handling Change.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, this week, I thought that I'd ask you a question because this is pretty prime roof season, right?
Yes, it is.
People put their roof, you don't put it on in January. And roofs aren't an inexpensive thing. It's a big improvement to your home.
Yes, it is.
And you absolutely get your investment back and then some, right?
Of course. Yeah. And if you think about it, the 50-year lifespan that it protects your property, then yes, you do.
Wow, 50 years. But again, it's still not pocket change.
No.
So I was wondering about that. And is there a way to, finance it, spread the payments over time? How would you handle that $10,000 or $15,000 outlay and have it manageable?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of homeowners constantly ask, how can I finance my new roof replacement, or can I finance my roof replacement? And the answer is yes, you can. More than ever, we have multiple options that could make a new roof possible with a low monthly payment. We have 18 months, no payments, no interest available. And we also have a 5-year locked interest rate at $599 a month. So yes, you can have that new roof, and yes, you can pay for it monthly. But the next question that a lot of homeowners ask is, well, what do I need to apply for it? Absolutely nothing. You don't need to do anything other than log into a secure portal on our site and simply put down the information as it appears on your driver's license. It takes 1 minute for you to get a response. No documentation necessary. And the incredible thing about this, Joe, is the fact that these homeowners, this loan is unsecured and it carries on with them like a traditional credit card bill would. This does not tie into their property. So if they need to sell that home or if they need to move it on, that loan carries with them. It's not tied down to their property, and they can continue making those payments even if they are no longer the homeowners of that property. So it's incredible, and it really helps making your roof affordable.
Absolutely. And I like the idea that it's an independent loan. It carries with you because if you do need to sell, and that happens, people get jobs transfers or life circumstances can change, that it's not going to be taken out of those profits, that just goes with you because it might be easier for you to handle. That's a fantastic aspect of it.
Exactly. We've made it so simple and so easy. It's really 1 minute of your time, and you can have that new roof on your home rather than having to think about it or plan up for it or save for it. I mean, you can get that new roof now and just carry a low monthly payment monthly.
And you're saying that the roofs
roofs nowadays are good for 50 years?
Absolutely. With the new advanced technology in asphalt manufacturing, new roofs that we are placing on people's home today are architectural design roofing shingles, and these are designed to be a 50-year product from the manufacturer. Of course, maybe New England won't get the full 50 years. I'm confident to say that we will at least be in the 40 to 50-year product line.
That's fantastic. If you don't know the condition of your roof, how easy or difficult is it for you to be able to determine that for somebody if they wanted to investigate, I guess, the quality of your roof? Because, people buy a home and they said, hey, we put the roof on a few years ago. A few years ago could have been 15, right? Or it could have been 4. You never know,
Absolutely.
Right? Unless you dig that up. So is it a good idea to kind of investigate and have a professional look at your roof and say, you got another 10 years, or I hope it doesn't rain tonight?
I think it will be the best thing you can do for your property. A home, I will always say this, that a roof protects your home, and your home is your most important thing. So if you are in a position that you're unsure what's going on with your roof, invite a professional to take a look at it and provide you with an inspection report. We actually offer full inspection reports with photography that will allow you to have an idea of what's going on with your roof, and then you can see what works best for you. So again, we offer those roof inspections with detailed photography. Take a look what's going on out there on top of your roof, and most importantly, the best thing you can do after a major storm is spend the time to hire a roofing professional to come to your property and investigate if there is any damage. You being proactive for the thing that matters most, the roof and your home, the best thing you can do as a homeowner. And honestly, I recommend it, especially after a major storm, because you want to know what's going on top of your roof. You don't want it to be a surprise when there's a leak in your closet or in your kitchen.
It's great that you say that, because I always get a chuckle out of when there's a rainstorm and I see the guys that go to the auto store and they're changing their wipers in the middle of the rainstorm. And I, for one, did it on the sunny day.
Absolutely. So
Don't wait till
I
it's
like
too
that.
late.
I might have to steal that line and use it next time, but that's exactly what this is. Don't do it when it's leaking. Do it before, because you are going to save a lot of money on that sheetrock or maybe on that paint job that you now will have to take care of in addition to fixing the roof.
All right, fantastic. Greta, thanks for stopping by Handling Change.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us for Handling Change. Join us each week at 7:30 as we give you the tools to handle the changes in your life, and visit us at handlingchange.info. Of course, follow us at Talking Change for You. You can find Golden Group Roofing online at goldengrouproofing.com or give them a call at 508-873-1884. For Greta, I'm Joe Mangiacotti.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the final segment of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN, an affiliate AM 730 WACE in the western part of the state. Don't forget, we're live streaming on the TuneIn app, so check us out. Just punch it, WCRN. You can take us anywhere. Lines are open and available. Please join the show at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. You can text us in real time at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388, or email us at textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. Excuse me. So textjoeontheradio@gmail.com, and same screen. It appears on the same screen, guys. So in studio with me is Jerry Doherty from Making Money Last, heard here every day, Monday through Friday from 11 to 12 noon. Behind the glass is Shane. And Boston Independence Group. Jerry is right down the street, and you're here at 11 o'clock telling people how to handle their retirement. You specialize in that, right? You're not the jack of all trades. Let me talk to you about college fund today and retirement tomorrow, and you do one thing and you do it very well. And is that the philosophy behind it?
It is. It is. That's exactly the philosophy behind Boston Independence Group. All we do is retirement planning. And in particular, retirement income planning. Retirement is all about income. So that's what we do, and I can be reached at 877-772-1776.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, folks. Again, 508-871-7000 lines are open and available. So we're looking at the race, 109 days to go to the election. We have Joe Biden, who has been pretty much in the basement the whole time. His handlers are saying, okay, leave him in there, that's fine. Is it really a race right now? I mean, are we going to see Donald Trump on the stage and Joe Biden on a screen next to him? Is that where we're headed with this? In some respects, I think Joe has capitalized on the coronavirus to stay out of the limelight, or at least his people are doing that. Because and I'm not being mean-spirited here, but it's almost every time Joe is left to do live appearance or conversation, or he goes on these podcasts, it seems he always messes up somehow. And not the same way that Trump does, right? Trump's coherent. It's just people don't like the way he says it. Biden, he says some things. He loses his place. He's not quite sure what he's talking about. He makes references that I think you have to be well into Social Security collecting to know what he's talking about. When he talks about certain things, make sure they got the phonograph on when they're going to bed or something like that. So how's this going to work out in 109 days, right? We talked about the debates. The campaigns have agreed to 3 debates. I think they're going to be wonderful to watch, right? I really do. I think they're going to be incredible to watch because now Joe Biden, over the last 7 weeks, between the Seattle situation, Chaz and Chomp, and the statues being torn down, defunding the police, and then we see shootings up all across the board, violence up all across the board, and it's drawing this line of. And Joe, I said it earlier, it's called the triangulation of a campaign, but Joe's not following through with the part where he comes back to the middle. He's doubling down on the left, and he's moving further and further left. And the line's being drawn between law and order, and I do think that if President Trump goes back to the basics of his 2016 campaign, and that was law and order candidate, enforce the laws. And by the way, folks, Donald Trump hasn't proposed any new immigration laws. He's actually said to the Democratic Party, you know what? I'll give you that. I will do the amnesty if we fix this at the same time. And they said no, because Democrats want the issue. They don't want the solution. They like to have the issue because they can continue to perpetuate to the black and Puerto Ricans, the Latinos, right? I shouldn't say Puerto Rican, the Latinos and people of color, that we're the party for you. But if there's a solution, they can't say that anymore. And we see Donald Trump creating solutions with the Criminal Reform Act, with the opportunity zones being done, right? We've seen good work being done that should have been done, you would have thought would have been done in the Obama administration, but it wasn't done in the Obama administration. It was done in this administration. And the certain leaders in those communities, they need to have the issue because that's how they stay in power. That's how they become relevant, and that is how they have money come in. Am I off on that?
I think you are spot on that, Joe. And I do think that the real pivotal moment that we have remaining in this year between now and the debate, between now and the election, the 100 or 109 days, are going to be the debates. And I think that there are 2 big issues at the debates. You have Joe Biden, who clearly he is numerically challenged. Every number he gives, we have 130 million Americans dead from COVID-19 and so on. It seems like a lot of the numbers that he gives are really off. He's also given to misstatements and a lot of malpropisms. He's almost becoming the Muggs McGuinness of American presidential politics. That's what he is.
Shane doesn't know who Muggs McGuinness is.
Yeah, he is. He's becoming the Muggs McGuinness of American politics. That's number one, just kind of his style, and again, given to misstatements and a ton of malpropisms. Then the second thing are his policies. And those are really the important things. When the American people really understand his policies, as you were indicating, with law and order, he is now saying that he is in favor of defunding the police. Now, I know he doesn't say that overtly, but he says, redirecting resources from police departments to other categories, to other departments. Mm-hmm. That's clearly a defunding of the police stance. His economic issues, he said, he's going to roll back the 2017 Trump tax cuts. This is one of the things he said. So do you think that higher taxes are an incentive to growing the economy? Most economists would tell you that it's just the opposite. We have a Laffer curve that will show you this and so on. The China policy, He wants to reverse the China policy, Paris Climate Agreement. And then the other thing, the big question, and this is really what I think people have to ask themselves, Joe Biden has been in office for the better part of a half of a century. For the better part of a half of a century. America's only 244 years old.
Yeah.
He's been there for the better part of a half of a century. If he were going to make all of these great changes and get the economy going, and we had the slowest economic recovery that the United States has experienced in post-World War II, with Obama and with Biden in charge, what would make you think that the same people who cause these problems are going to be the same people who help you recover from these problems? It's the old Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Keep on doing the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah. It's asinine for a guy who has been in the Senate for almost 4 decades, the White House as vice president for nearly a decade, to all of a sudden be the guy that says, I have all the answers. You just got to put me in, coach, and I can bring the ball home. Well, you haven't done it. Matter of fact, not only have you not fixed anything, but you've been so much of the problem. In both, we talked about China was mentioned earlier with a guest, and you kind of mentioned it too. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because while we're so distracted with COVID-19 and the economics of the country and the cancer culture and everybody going after everybody, we're not paying attention to a lot of other things going on around the globe. And one of them is, China. China has been, pushing to expand their power, right? Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he had said, really for the first time the other day, calling China's territorial claims in the South China Sea unlawful. Alexander Neal examines China's plans to extend its reach into the region because they're just saying this is ours. We see what they're doing in Hong Kong, right? Now they've passed the bill, I guess you call it there for them, the law saying that it's just an extension of China now. Their autonomy has gone away. They can make people disappear. They can just go into China and pull you back to the mainland if you speak out against the government. I don't know if people really understand what it's like in China and that there are re-education camps today. 2020, we're not talking, this isn't what China used to do, folks. It's today that this is happening. And then we just had this very respected Chinese virologist who escaped from China. And I don't think she's getting all of the attention she should get. A couple of weeks ago, I made the comment, China lied, and a guest on the show said, well, we don't really know that. Well, actually, we do know that, okay? China lied. Even WHO had falsified the notification date on their website. They finally have gone back and corrected it. But we have Dr. Li Ming Yang, and she specialized in virology in immunology at the Hong Kong School of Public Health. And she claims that Beijing knew about the coronavirus well before the claims. And when she went on an interview with Fox News, and she said that her supervisors, many renowned as some of the top experts in their field, ignored the research and began undertaking, from the onset of the outbreak, which ultimately led to the COVID-19 pandemic, ways of covering this up. And she even said that her supervisors covered up potentially life-saving research and told her that she could not talk about it, or much less publish it. And she said that she would be disappeared and they would kill me. And she started planning her escape, and she got out of China, and she's trying to blow the whistle now. Now she's gotten defection, and she's being protected. But we don't see a lot of this on the news. We don't
see a lot of this on the news. Joe, I think that's a really important story. And when you look at all of the things that China, another thing too that I would add to that long laundry list of China is their very aggressive behavior on the Indian border. Mm-hmm. I think that's another really important story as well. The point is, though, the larger point, Joe, is that while we have been myopic in our focus on coronavirus, the world's bad guys, and it's not just China.
No.
It's North Korea, it's Syria, it's even Venezuela. The world's bad guys have really been empowered. And we have so many other problems. Let's remember, and this is where this, COVID-19 thing gets really crazy. Let's remember COVID-19 is just one way to die. And if COVID-19 doesn't destroy the United States, which a lot of people really hope that it does, there are behind COVID-19 1,000 other really bad actors waiting in the wings to take their best shot to destroy the United States. So sometimes, like recently, I was thinking to myself, God, we haven't seen one of those, presidential briefings on COVID-19 in quite a while now. Remember, you used to have those press conferences every afternoon.
2 hours.
Just 2 hours. And that's the issue. It's 2 hours. The president of the United States certainly has COVID-19, but he has a whole host of other problems that he has going on, way beyond the economy, way beyond health issues, these world issues that are going on behind the scenes. So I think that it's really a high time for people in the United States to really think to themselves, do we want to put all of our eggs in this one COVID-19 basket, or are we going to realize that there are a whole host of other issues out there as well?
Yeah. Well, look, China has corrupted American businesses deeply, right? We know now that they have infiltrated into our universities, and we just had arrests not long ago right here in Boston. Brad was talking about Hollywood. I mean, these production companies in Hollywood don't even have to be told, right? They kind of self-censor because they've already been let known what's okay to put in the movies and so forth. We saw the NBA totally, right, back up as soon as they said we had the coach who said stand for Hong Kong. So now we got a situation where NFL players and NBA players, they can't put stand with Hong Kong on their jerseys, but they can put Black Lives Matter on it or anti-police statements on it. When did the America that was all about freedom and economic opportunity and growth? I go back to, and we talked about this maybe Thursday, that President Trump has used United States economic might better than any president in recent history, probably maybe ever. I don't know. I'll say in recent history because I can't say. We'd have to go back through every president, I guess. But certainly in modern times, he's used the United States economic might by tariffs and sanctions and just telling other bad actors in the world, this is how it's going to work. And what I don't understand when you're talking, Jerry, about, all these people, they won't want to destroy the United States. But think about that for a moment, bad guys. What would the world look like without the United States? Think about what that would. I mean, do you really want the United States to go away? Do you really want the United States not to be the economic powerhouse that it is? Do you not want American citizens to have disposable income to buy your goods and services? Do you not want that? If what would happen if America became a Venezuela?
Look, America has kept the world peaceful. America is a really great country in terms of keeping world peace. And I think that we all understand that the world has to be in balance. So in our arsenal to do that, we certainly have military might. We have, diplomatic might. We have intelligence capabilities and so on. And one of the things that Donald Trump has really exploited on that list, and exploited particularly well, is our economic might. So before going to a military option, Donald Trump has decided to use an economic option. So he has said, if you don't get in line with some of these rogue countries that are out there operating in terrible ways, countries like Syria, countries like Iran, that we will cripple you economically. You think about Iran, for example. How does Iran fund its terrorism if they have no funding mechanism? So cutting off funding is a really important component to that. And that's our economic might, because we really do have the world's, economies functioning through our systems. And we can stop the flow of terrorist money and so on. Think about the impact of what that does. So again, I come back to COVID-19 is just one way for all of us to perish.
Yeah.
There are many other ways, and I will tell you, some of these other ways are a heck of a lot more lethal.
Yeah,
a heck of a lot more
I got to
lethal.
tell you, every time you say that, Jerry, I think of that movie there, 1,001 Ways to Die in the West. Right, I say, you know the movie I'm talking about.
You watch more movies than I do.
But it's hysterical. But the Washington Redskins. So they're changing. You know, the thing about that is, it's. I think about this, and I liken it to when New Coke came out, and I always maintained that New Coke was just a marketing ploy because they came out with New Coke recipe and it sucked. Right, nobody liked it. And they came back with, then they went back, okay, we got the original Coke. But they did it so quickly. In other words, the ramp-up time to change over can take months. And I think that they introduced the new Coke so that people would bitch about it and say, we want the original Coke. And they were ready to go right away to bring it back by demand, and sales spiked. So I always was suspicious of that. I think that was all just a ploy. But now
you could be right.
I'm looking at Washington Redskins, and think about this. They announced, okay, we're dropping the name. They haven't announced the name, or have they? They have? What did they end up going with, Shane?
I don't think they've picked a new one yet, but they did announce that they are changing.
Well, that's my point.
They haven't settled on it yet.
So they dropped the name, or they said they're dropping the name, but they haven't picked a new name yet. So that means, what do you do, right? But when they do pick a new name, what will everybody do? They will buy all new jerseys and hats and cup cozies, right? And all the merchandise. Changing the name is going to be a financial windfall to the team, isn't it?
Yeah, I think merchandise-wise, you might be onto. I think about it, Joe, in a more personal term.
Yeah.
You know, I think it like, you know, when Stoli introduced Stoli Raspberry, and I did switch to Stoli Raspberry, and then I haven't gone back.
Oh, okay,
So there you go.
but it's still out there. But it does something. So I think that the part of this is saying, you know what, is actually a big upside because we get to resell everything over again. And even though the fans might bitch about it and say, no, we're not going, you know they are. They absolutely know they're going. But just one more thing on the China. So the thing about it, it's kind of heating up because I wanted to make this point because we didn't talk about it earlier, is that the government has issued a new travel alert for U.S. citizens in China. And it said, quote, U.S. citizens may be detained without access to U.S. consular services or information about their alleged crime. U.S. citizens may be subjected to prolonged interrogations and extended detentions for reasons unknown. So, the government said, look, things are with China right now. If they pick you up, and look what they're doing to citizens of Hong Kong. What's going on in Hong Kong is a very, very scary thing. And we have a few minutes left, and I wanted to just have a little fun here and ask you your take on this, because it's kind of becoming a thing lately, and that's the UFOs, Jerry. So Mark Rubio, now who would have thought? It's Senator Rubio is the guy who's saying, I want the UFO stuff released. Now, we saw the Trump did what he did with the Space Force. Now, the Space Force, I don't think people realize the Space Force
We forgot about it.
has been existing for a long time, but it was dark money. So this is another thing that is pissing off Washington, is Trump just tabled the Space Force, which used to be dark money, that we were doing space protection and exploration quietly with money off the books. Now, putting that out there now, all that money is out there, and people can't play with dark money anymore. You got to understand that, right? Dark money is money off the books, and we don't know where it all goes, and nobody's asking where it all goes. So they're pissed at Trump again, not just for cleaning up the swamp, but also creating the Space Force. But Mark Rubio is the guy who's saying that I want a task force explaining the phenomena, Because Trump was shown that video, the Navy video. Do you know the one I'm talking about that's circulating? You can go find it. I posted it a while ago, but you can find it on their Facebook page, but you can Google it. So some Navy pilots, because you're going to remember, they're recording. It's not like the Navy guy has a little camera in the cockpit. Cameras are all over, and they're just recording. And it recorded some pretty phenomenal footage, okay? And it's funny that even Donald Trump Jr. is saying, if the one thing that my father does, while president, I want him to declassify the UFO information. And this goes all the way back like to Reagan. Reagan was supposedly shown a lot of things, but when Jimmy Carter became president, or when Jimmy Carter was president, he asked to, and they actually said, no, that information like Area 51 and stuff is only on a need-to-know basis, and there's really no reason, your curiosity doesn't count. But Ronald Reagan is one of the few presidents who ever talked about UFO experience. Right, so when he was governor and he talked about flying and seeing something like that, so the rumor in that whole UFO watcher sphere out there is that Ronald Reagan was actually shown some stuff, right, and that it was there. There's really something there to be had. They said Bill Clinton was also shown some stuff, and now, according to all the websites and stuff, that Donald Trump, for reasons that we don't know, has had to be brought up to speed on the whole UFO situation in America, going back to Roswell and so forth, right? So now you've got Mark Rubio saying, I want a task force, I want these documents declassified. Unidentified aerial phenomenal task force is what he's requesting. So before we go to close, what's your take on the UFO situation? Do you think that in our lifetimes we're going to find the truth out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I do think about people like, Ozzy Osbourne and even Keith Richards, and you wonder, are they from this world?
Men in Black, right? That movie, don't they? Like, it's funny, right? Where they show
it could be a very good explanation.
Yeah. Who is the basketball player with he went to North Korea? The weird one. Yeah. That narrows that down. You know what I'm talking. He went and met with Kim Jong-un.
Oh,
Dennis Rodman?
Dennis Rodman, right?
Yeah.
Like in the Men in Black, they have Dennis Rodman, and they're like, oh, he actually gets a cameo in it that he's some from another planet and stuff like that.
And they say not much of a disguise.
Yeah, that's what it was.
30 seconds, guys.
I think that you're onto something
Yeah.
there, Joe.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. It's just, I'd like it to be, in my lifetime, I'd like it to get exposed. Jerry Doherty, thank you so much for sitting in today. Boston Independence Group, again, people can reach you directly.
Yes, at 877-772-1776.
All right, that will wrap it up. Shane, thank you very much. Have a good day. Everybody back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Have a great Saturday, folks.
WACE Chicopee and